How's it going, everybody? It's me, Arctic, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over a complete build guide for the new character, Faruzan. So I will be covering some build guide tips for Faruzan, as well as the best artifact and weapon choice. Please remember that this is an early build guide and based on the current beta information, and if anything changes with her kit before release, please reference that, as it will affect the build guide a little bit. Last thing before we get into the video, remember to subscribe if you want to stay up to date with the latest Genshin Impact leaks and also early character build guides. That's what I'm trying to do a whole lot more, trying to put a bit more effort into these videos. I hope you guys like them. Anyway, let's get into the video. So just a quick rundown of how Faruzan works. She's basically an Anemo Bow character that's focused around decreasing and also increasing Anemo damage against enemies and also for your team. Her E skill is pretty interesting because it does give you a special charge attack that you can actually use, and that's going to either pull enemies in if you hit the ground, or it'll just hit an enemy and decrease their Anemo resistance, so that's going to be pretty nice. This debuff only lasts like 4 seconds, so it's not really that long, but what her ult does is it gives that same debuff, although it does have a more reliable uptime. Her burst does last 12 seconds, and it has an 80 energy cost, so it's going to have 20 seconds of cooldown, so it is going to be pretty hard to keep that up constantly. And the last main thing about her kit is that her 4th Ascension passive basically converts her base attack into extra Anemo damage whenever you hit with an Anemo damage attack on enemies, and so that's going to be a pretty big buff, and that can occur every 1 second, so it's pretty reliable. But now getting on to artifact choice for Faruzan. So in terms of main stats, for the hat, you're probably going to want to go with a crit stat just because she used to actually be able to utilize attack percent with her extra Anemo damage bonus, but that got changed to just base attack, so now attack percent doesn't really matter on her whatsoever. So I would recommend going with something like a crit rate just because she is more of a sub DPS, but crit damage can also work depending on what weapon you choose. For the timepiece, I would highly recommend going energy recharge because the reason behind this is that that's going to give you higher burst uptime, basically just making it to where you can reliably get your burst to be active. And then for the goblet, go with Anemo damage percent because you can't really utilize any of the other things very well. And yeah, as for sets that I think will work pretty good on Faruzan, one of the actual best sets I think you can go with is going to be the Emblem of Severed Fate set. This will give you some extra energy recharge, which is going to be very helpful, as well as turning her energy recharge into a damage bonus for her elemental burst, which is going to be where most of her damage is going to be coming for if you are building her to deal some like sub DPS damage as well. Overall, I think this is probably going to be a pretty strong set for like personal damage on her. You could go with a 4-piece Viridescent Veneer set, and this will basically just decrease enemy resistances to elements swirled and increase your swirl damage, so it's going to be pretty good. And what this opens up is the possibility of not even using a Viridescent 4-piece on like your main DPS Anemo character pretty much. Another set that I think is going to be very good on Faruzan for more so mono Anemo team comps is going to be the 4-piece Noblesse Oblige, because this does give you actually an attack bonus for your whole team, so it can be utilized very well on her, and as well as giving that elemental burst damage bonus. So this is going to be a little bit better than Emblem if you are running for more of a crit damage stat build versus an energy recharge stat build. However, I think energy recharge is still going to be better in the long run because you are going to want to have very good burst uptime on her as her main appeal. 2 pieces that you can actually combo a 2-piece of the Viridescent Veneer and also a 2-piece of the new set that gives Anemo damage bonus as well, so that could give you like 30% Anemo damage bonus, which can be pretty interesting as well. But alternatively, like 2-piece attack, 2-piece Anemo damage bonus is still going to be pretty good, or you could even go for like some elemental mastery points if you just want a little more swirl damage or something like that. And lastly, getting into weapon choice for Faruzan, we're pretty much looking for weapons that are going to be able to give like energy recharge stats or anything that would boost out like crit damage, crit rate, that kind of stuff. Pretty much we're going to be prioritizing stuff that gives energy recharge or like utility for teams and stuff. So Favonius Warbow I think is going to be a great option if you are going for the Emblem of Severed Fate build. This one also gives you some good energy recharge at 61%, which is very high, and also gives you some good utility or like team benefits because of its passive that gives you some extra elemental particles when you score critical hits. The only downside to this is it can't really work off the field, so you are going to have to rely on critting with like your charge attacks, something like that, when you actually are on the field. The Stringless is also another pretty decent option if you are going for some damage bonuses on her like elemental burst, because this gives you like 24% up to 48% elemental skill and elemental burst damage, so it is a good amount. And then the elemental mastery actually can be utilized a little bit for higher damage swirls. Sacrificial Bow is a good option to consider as well. Basically gives you some ER, higher base attack actually, which is going to be a little bit nicer if you are planning on going for more of a damaging Faruzan. It's going to be pretty good. And then the passive basically gives you a chance to reset the elemental skill cooldown. Basically you can just cycle around with like her special charge attacks. If you wanted to use like that to like add group, this is a great use of that. Instant Hunt is also a great option because this one is going to be great for ad grouping as well as a crit build, because you get some 27% crit rate right here, as well as its passive. Basically it creates a cyclone that can attract enemies and deals damage based on your attack right here, and this actually can trigger off of normal and charge attacks, so you do have a pretty good chance of creating that with her charge attack, especially if you are hitting like multiple enemies. I think that increases the effects of this as well. And real quickly, out of the 5-star options, you are going to be looking for stuff, I guess, that's going to have a higher base attack. So stuff like Skyward Harp is going to be probably your best in slot in terms of trying to get the most out of her Ascension 4 buff, because it has the highest base attack out of all these 5-star bows. Then stuff like Elegy of the End is probably going to get you a little bit higher damage when it comes to Faruzan specifically, if you are running an Emblem of Severed Fate build, because this has ER. Also, the passive on this is actually very good for team utility as well. Only other like decent option on here is actually going to be Polar Star for her overall, just because it gives you like a pretty good amount of stats right here, as well as crit rate. So definitely good weapons. Pretty much just go for stuff that has high base attack and fits the playstyle you want for your Faruzan. Anyway, that's going to be pretty much it for this video. It was a little bit shorter, but I might actually make a few more videos going into details on Faruzan as well as Scaramouche. Basically, I just wanted to put these videos out here to get them up in the algorithm, you know? Anyway, it's been me, Arctic. I will see you all in the next one. Farewell.